Great, thank you. Thank you to Monica and the rest of the 5 Keys teachers. Now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. One of our community partners is the Executive Director of Young Community Developers, and most recently has been elected to the Board of Education here in San Francisco. It's a great honor to introduce Shamann Walton.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Y'all sound dead. We had a graduation. Good afternoon, everybody. First, give honor to God. I want to thank the entire 5 Keys team for having me here this afternoon to celebrate such a joyous occasion. It's actually kind of hard to talk to you all with you behind me, but bear with me as I try to say a few words that may make sense. First of all, I definitely want to say congratulations to all of the graduates that are here today. I know that through your hard work and dedication, you are all going to be successful and move on to your next step in your journey. So let's please give them a hand for their work today. And I'm actually not going to let you off that easy. I know a number of you in the audience. I've worked with some of you I've seen it out in the community, and I've seen you shout for your favorite football teams. I've seen you shout for your favorite basketball teams. We are here celebrating a graduation today. Please give it up for our graduates. They definitely need to be celebrated at every opportunity. So we want to make sure that we show that appreciation. When Steve asked me to come here today, I wasn't sure what I wanted to share. I know many people in this audience are graduates. We've all had different experiences in life, so hopefully I can share a few nuggets that will help you in your next steps as you go to become whatever you want to do. We have a saying on the block, and I know that some of you know this, but the saying is, I would rather be caught with than without. I'm going to repeat that. I'd rather be caught with than without. Now, we use that kind of different than why we're here today, but the point is, I would rather be caught with an education. I would rather be caught with the GED. I would rather be caught with a diploma than without one. Because the true equalizer to making sure that you become successful is an education. And so that is important that you have done that today. And I know some of your journeys to get here today were filled with true obstacles, many hardships. But we also know that what you've done today and the steps you've taken is a true testament that your resume can change. And as the head of a workforce development agency, I always use words like resume and things like that. But we're talking about your life, right? Your resume can change. The way people see you, the way people judge you, your resume can change. And I'm a true testament to that. I can attest to being expelled from school on more than one occasion, and not just talking about being suspended, but being expelled. I can attest to being incarcerated for a good chunk of my high school years, in and out of juvenile hall. And I can also attest to being raised by a single parent. I can attest to being a teenage parent, having both of my children at the age 16 and 17. I can attest to living in public housing, but I also can attest to the benefits of what an education can do for you. So I can't say that, and I can't stress that more, the importance of that. Now, you've already heard from some of the students today, and you've heard from one of the teachers, and I don't even know what I can do to inspire you more than what you've already heard, but hopefully I can give you a couple of words of wisdom that make sense as you move forward. A little bit of downer. We already know that the state of California spends approximately $50,000 to incarcerate adults in this state per year. We also know that the state of California spends a little bit over $100,000 to incarcerate juveniles every year. And while we have law enforcement representatives here today, while we have other policymakers and elected officials, I do want to throw a plug and say that it is very important that we make an increased investment on prevention. that we make an increased investment on prevention and intervention, because we would not be spending that $50,000 a year, we would not be spending that $100,000 a year if we invested prior to those results. So I want to make sure that we all take that with us before we leave. So when we talk about education, I definitely want to define it. Education is defined as the act or process of imparting or acquiring general knowledge, developing the powers of reasoning and judgment, and generally preparing oneself or others intellectually for mature life. I'm going to repeat that definition one more time. Education is defined as the act or process of imparting or acquiring general knowledge, developing the powers of reasoning and judgment, and generally preparing oneself or others intellectually for mature life. The word power is included in this particular definition of education, and that's what I want to impart in every one of you who are graduating this afternoon. The power of knowledge and the power of education, because that is something that cannot be taken away from you. And the power of education also leads to the amount of choices that you have in life. If something happens to me today, if there's an obstacle that comes up, I know that I'm not going to go out there and do anything stupid, because I have choices. And those choices are strictly and merely because of the fact that I have a little bit of education. And that's the same thing for you. With this diploma, with this GED, completing your high school requirements, now you have an opportunity to make better choices, and you have more choices. 4 things I want to focus on, and I'm going to get out of your way. The first one is never be afraid to fail. Never be afraid to fail. Any successful person in this room, or any person that you may think is successful in this room, has definitely failed at one point in their life. But all failure is something that helps you remember to get back out on the horse and go try again. Never be scared to fail. We have graduates here today, 35 and 46 years old. So the word failure really doesn't mean fail if you continue, right? Because through those obstacles, they're here graduating today, and that is very, very important that we recognize that. So please give those 2 a hand. Second, always maximize off of every opportunity that you're given. They always say sayings like, when you get lemons, make lemonade. But always maximize off of any opportunity that you're given. You know, if you look at the rapper Jay-Z, for example, he got a record deal, but he didn't just become a rapper, right? He built a company that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars because he maximized on that one opportunity. So whether you go out and be an entrepreneur, whether you go to the next level of higher education, college, trade school, whatever your next step is, you make sure that you maximize off of this piece of paper that you received today. Number 3, and very important, and the fact that we're here today lets me know that many of you already realize that, but never let anyone tell you that you cannot succeed. Never let anyone tell you that you cannot succeed. Relevant today, how many of you seen the movie Selma? Anybody out there? So the movie Selma is about when Dr. King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference were trying to help the citizens in Selma be able to vote and eliminate the barriers that the state of Alabama put in place for them not to be able to vote. Poll taxes, literacy tests, etc. And several people, including the President of the United States, some of the people who worked and marched with Dr. King, did not think that they would be able to be successful in not only completing the march from Selma to Montgomery, but also in passing the Voting Rights Act. But they did. No matter what anybody tells you you cannot do, remember to never let anyone tell you you can't succeed. More personal to me, at age 16, I can remember being in juvenile hall and probably doing something stupid and talking to one of the counselors and telling them that I was going to go on to college and be successful one day. And that counselor told me straight up, you are not going to be going to college and you're not going to amount to anything. And that right there, and those words and things like that, we have to use those as fuel for encouragement. We have to use those as fuel for the next step, to let everybody know that we can overcome any obstacle that's in front of us. And adults and people who work with our youth and people who work with our families, remember that our words are very, very important. What we say to young people and what we say to people when they're going through hardships is very, very important. It can be the determining factor of whether somebody goes out on the deep end or whether they not make a change. So always remember to never let anyone tell you that you cannot succeed. And then the last thing I want to share with everyone here, particularly knowing that we've probably all been through some hardships in our lives and some things, but you have to remember to get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. If you remember the late, great Whitney Houston, rest in peace, she was in an interview in 2002 with Barbara Walters, and Barbara Walters asked Whitney, she said, what's your biggest obstacle? You know, what is it? Cocaine? Is it marijuana? Is it alcohol? Is it pills? And Whitney's response was, it's me. My biggest devil, my biggest obstacle is me. We cannot be afraid to succeed, and we cannot get in our own way. Make sure that you do everything that you need to do to become what you want to become, and don't let yourself be your own barrier. So as you move forward and remember the importance of your next step, try to make sure that you do something that you love. If you do something that you love, you will never work a day in your life. I get to get paid today to come here and talk to you. I get paid today to spend time with you and many people who have been through some of the same scenarios and situations, and there is nothing else that I would rather do. So as you take the next steps, remember to try to do something that you enjoy doing, because the career you build, the work that you do, is going to take up a big part of your life. And the last thing I want to say is this. Nothing feels better to me. You know, I love accomplishing things. I love going and being successful, but nothing feels better to me than watching you all accomplish your dreams and your goals. Congratulations again, and thank you.